So we're down here today, we're doing a full engine room inspection for a customer before the season, but we're going to start with our Northern Light generator. So I have all the covers off as much as I can. I can't take the one cover off where the exhaust goes through, and then same thing on the other side on the smaller generator. But you can see this orientation of this one, I would say, is normally backwards for access compared to this side, which we have our secondary fuel, oil, we have our dipstick and our oil fill here. So one thing I wanted to mention is, with this normally being on the back of our generator up against a bulkhead, that finding things like this are going to be a lot harder. But that's one of the reasons why we want to make sure that at least once a year before we go boating that we're trying to look out for things like this. So this was from last year, so we'll be able to take this hose off, clean this up, get a little bit of new fresh paint on here, but it's very recent. So we have very little that's here. We haven't absolutely destroyed the bed or inside the box with saltwater, which is great. So now we have the opportunity to, again, take this off, clean this up. We'll replace this, probably replace some hose clamps too, freshen everything up. This Northern Lights generator already has the updated all stainless cast one. They used to make ones that were made out of cast steel. I replaced the one on the other side, but if you notice that it's cast steel, be preventative about it and change it to the cast stainless one, because they all crack, and they crack down on the bottom where it's very hard to see, and then they do the same thing that this is, but many times over, because you're actively pumping more salt water out of that crack than this little weep that's here. So this is for all of 2025 season. It also gives us a good opportunity to look at the gasket here, because that's we could have an exhaust leak, and then this is where your salt water comes out for your heat exchanging of the engine to keep the engine cold. So this is the outlet, and this is where the salt water mixes back into the exhaust and cools it off to go out. So we want to make sure that even if this is up against the bulkhead, if we can take the top panel off and look down, or just take a flashlight in the mirror and look down to see that. But we want to try to see access to these points, because if we start to get salt water here, this is where our generator is too, so we're going to be getting a bunch of salt that's going to be getting down here and causing even more damage. So we're looking at battery cables, connections, how loose they are. We just want to go through and make sure that all their connection points are good, along with fuel hoses, water. This is coolant, so we want to make sure that this is pliable, we don't have any bubbles in it, but our connection points are still tight too. And then we can follow this around. This goes to the outlet of our water pump, and at the same time we can look at our belt. So as we're looking at this belt, for instance, if we go ahead and pull it over, we can see some heavy cracking in here. So this would be a recommendation to replace this, because we're starting to get in the root of these cogs, is we're starting to get cracking. So if we loosen it up and then bent it over backwards, it would be probably pretty brittle, and that cracking would come all the way down to where the band is impregnated with a material, what is it called? Fabric. So you can see here right here, if I go to bend that open, you can see the cracks. So the cracks is going to keep continuing out and then make this more brittle, and then these pieces are going to start to fall off. So this is why we're doing inspections. And then also, like on this one over here, we should normally have this cover on. We're going to go ahead and take covers off. This is where we want to take some time to really spend going over everything methodically, and then also cleaning stuff too. And we can, if we take say 20 photos for the year, we can take some photos of everything, and then it makes it a lot easier that at the end of the year, if we have an impeller housing that's starting to weep a little bit more, it makes it a lot easier to find some of these issues where, was there a little bit of green here at the beginning of the year, or was there a lot of green, because it's a base point to really start being able to correct issues that we're having.